could I ask you, so here we will go into another 3 days of disruption. Are we any further down the track, down the line of resolution?
Unfortunately, that's not the case. I think the governments are intervening. They're not really letting the train operating companies and Network Rail reach a solution. And, we have this sort of vicious circle where the companies are blaming the government and the government are blaming the companies. And really, I think we're held hostage to this election in the Conservative Party for the new leader and the new Prime Minister. Yeah. I think they're trying to give red meat and sound bites to their constituency. None of them want to be seen to be doing a reasonable thing, which would be to settle this pay dispute.
You see, and it's not just a pay dispute, it's a job dispute.
Jobs as well.
Yeah. And, that comment that Rosie read out there, and the person said, how can there be public support for a union that wants a pay increase from the past? The thing is, I just ask people, if this was you and this was your job, would you be like a turkey voting for Christmas? Would you be saying, oh, well, I'm going to agree to whatever conditions exist, but I'm doing myself out of a job in the long run? Because this is what the government seem to be suggesting. They're saying, oh, yeah, look, we're happy. We're happy to do business eventually through the train companies. But you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to give up a lot of jobs for this one.
Well, I mean, people have lost a fifth of their spending power through a 2-year pay freeze, and now we've got inflation running at over 10%. I think it's the highest in 40 years. And on top of that, we have thousands of prospective job cuts. And what that'll mean as well is that the people that are left behind, their work-life balance will be absolutely destroyed. They'll have to work. The proposals are 39 weeks of nights, 39 weekends. So if you think that, I think that's completely unreasonable. And people have had enough of it. And I think really the whole country have had enough of it. We are in a situation where, on the one hand, you're being offered, sort of Thatcherite tax cuts that aren't going to help anybody except the already rich. And we have people unable to pay their bills. So what do people do? I mean, I think we need a generalised strike wave. And we need a complete redistribution of wealth in this country. We can't have it anymore.
What do you mean by a generalised strike? You mean a joined up different trades and different unions getting together for a general strike over the whole country?
Yeah, and it's got to have a political element. I think the time is right now for a political strike to demand the nationalisation of the utilities, not just the energy companies, which are making massive extortionate profits, but also the utilities like water. We see a drought, and we see people getting paid millions of pounds in bonuses.
I'm hearing what you say, Steve. What would you say to all the people who have now jumped under their breakfast tables today, shivering and cowering and calling you a Trotskyite and whatever about all of this? There will be a huge element of people who would say, no. This is not what we want. What would you say to those people?
Well, look, the world's heading for an environmental crisis. We're heading in Britain for old people starving to death or freezing to death in the winter. And the reality is you either have socialism or barbarism, that was said, but now I think it's socialism or extinction. So people better get their head around it. We need a massive redistribution of wealth, not just in this country, but worldwide.
That view is going to make many people watching or listening really angry. They're going to say, we're suffering from this as well. And as our previous guest said in the last hour, having a pay rise in line with inflation isn't in my contract. Why should it be in yours? Why should one sector get this attention when everybody else is stuck?
Sorry, it's not in anybody's contract. Basically, it's bargaining. It's collective bargaining. And of course, what I'm saying is it shouldn't just be us. Well, that's why I'm saying we should have a general strike. Everybody should have a pay rise. We need renationalisation of all the utilities. We can't have this rubbish where people are said, oh, we'll just give you 400 quid, which we'll take back off you. That's going to solve nothing.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no solution.
It's interesting. If you had have said what you've just said 6 months ago, I think there would have been more opposition to it. Now, people are finding out about the water companies, the utility companies, and the mess that they preside over. The energy companies as well, which everybody is talking about. And maybe, and I just put this question out here to you viewers and listeners, does Steve Hedley and what he's talking about, is it another way? Is it a way that you hadn't have thought about before, but you think maybe this man has a point? Now, I also want you to humanise this, Steve. I want you to tell us, I mean, when we talk about, oh, there's going to be a rail strike, train strike, people automatically think train drivers. Tell me who is involved in that. Who are the people who feel strongly enough to do about this? What do they work at?
Well, we do have a small proportion of train drivers in our union. Most of them are in ASLEF. And by the way, they need a pay rise as well. But we represent everybody from the person that makes the sandwiches to the person that cleans the platforms to the signallers. And a lot of our people are on, minimum wage or living wage.
Yes.
And these people are working 60, 72 hours a week and still having to claim benefits and still having to go to food banks.
So they are the working poor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The other thing that gets me, I suppose, is a lot of people think, we love the trains. The trains are great about this country. It's lovely a day out in the train. But no one thinks, you actually say, well, would you work? Would you do those jobs? Would you clean the platforms? Would you clean the trains? Would you, whatever else you've got to do? And there's a myriad of jobs. I don't really know all that's involved with them. But let me ask you this. You said to me you don't think you're any further down the line. How long will this go on for? I mean, there has to be a settlement. There has to be a negotiation. What is your prediction looking into your crystal ball?
Well, look, I really hope that the leaderships of all the union up the ante. I think we need a general strike. I think the unions need to get together to bring this thing to a head. And that's the only way it's going to be solved.